Hey, Paul here with Retro Gaming Arts, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of my controller mods. These are specifically done with the PS3 DualShock 3 6-axis, which is different from the PS3 DualShock 3. They don't have the rumble packs, and actually this black plastic is not clear see-through, but on the 6-axis they are. And I like to use clear see-through plastic controllers because it just looks better. So let's take a very in-depth look at these.
So for this is the bare bones tools that you could use to do this. That's really all you need, but this is what I used, just a more stronger variation. So right here I'm making all the wiring harnesses. It's just an LED with a resistor on the positive and a wire on the negative, and I put, a good 6 inches of wire on each, so that way I have room to play around with. And all those solder joints I go back and I clean up. I just try to get the bare bones in there so I can test it. As we're taking apart the controller, that's why I use like a little bit of the extra tools just to make that easy. And here's the positive. This is the first point. If you can do this, you can do so many more mods. Like if this basic thing right here, if you can figure out and teach yourself and learn how to do this, you're not limited to what you can do. And it's just that. So this is the positive for when it turns on. You have 4 pins, you solder a wire to the positive one, and then you also solder it to a negative, which is creating the complete circuit. And then you're throwing a resistor and an LED in the middle. So right here, this pin 5 on the PCB board, that's your negative wire. Boom, negative. And that's it. That's almost it. Here we have the LED. I'm doing the adding a resistor to the positive side, and then just soldering it up to the negative. Now that LED, since that's the home button LED, this little plastic harness is going to hold it all together, so you have to snip that down so you can fit the LED inside of it. As you see, it's going in right there. Now that's where the home button is. Boom. And it's got to fit flush with the PCB board so the controller goes together. Now I'm adding in the other harnesses right here, but this is your start, select, and home button little pad. Now the white part is what the LED is going to shine through, and it's also where the LED sits, so you have to cut it. You have to make it a lot smaller to make room for the LED. And with it being smaller, there's less resistance, so the light shines brighter. But yeah, you got to cut it right there so you can fit the LED inside. And that right there is pretty much just a home button LED mod. I'm going to go back and clean up those solder joints to make it fit nicer and flusher. I'm also wiring up my additional LEDs, which I'm just going to tack onto it to make a complete circuit that strands throughout the whole controller. Now what's so awesome about this is if you can figure out the basics to it, you can do so much more. And it's so cool because if you want to do this, or if you want to do anything else, if you just want it, you can do it. And I just think that's so cool that us as people can accomplish that. It just so happens that all I really wanted to do was just put lights in video games. That's honestly all I want to do. So that's what I do now. But if that's not your thing, It doesn't matter. You can still, if you want it, you can have it. And it's so cool how really powerful our minds are as people. And this little three-prong thing I wanted to just show, because if you ever just take apart a controller and clean it or whatever, that's the very important piece. So now we're going back and just putting it all back together. I have my harness strand to one side, and then I'm going to strand it over the PCB board and under the battery to the other side, because that's just how it fits the most snug. So I'm just disconnecting and then reconnecting my harness and just rerouting it throughout it. And I'm putting the whole thing back together. I got it all put back together, and it probably just didn't fit snug enough for me, so I took it apart again. And this time I'm going to hold it with some electrical tape. But yeah, like I said, like if this is what you want to do, learn the basics, and there's my cleaned up solder joints. Learn the basics and you can do so much more. And like I said, if this isn't what you want to do, whatever it is that you want to do, you can go and you can do it. It's so awesome. Now these buttons on the top, putting it all back together. Now here's the finished controller with my PS3. So yeah, that's what I like to do. And I supplied some of the information in case you wanted to do it. So I mean, yeah. So here's just some of the LED mods that I've done. I really like the purple to blue fade on the PS3. I like how it projects the light out the side. So I wanted to make a matching controller. And there's the other controller that I've done, the yellow one. And just a random PS1 thrown in there. I'm Paul with Retro Gaming Arts, and thank you for watching.